Hey to all the spooks out there. Welcome back to another episode of Spine-Chilling Chats, where every Wednesday we dig up the darkest corners of true crime, history, folklore, and the supernatural. I'm Ange.
And I'm Amanda.
Alaska, a land of breathtaking beauty and haunting isolation. But sometimes the silence hides something far more sinister. That is where we are taking you not only today, but this entire month. In 2019, a cell phone was stolen by a sex worker out of a man's vehicle, not really knowing what she took. On it, footage so disturbing, so raw, that even hardened detectives were shaken. The man behind the camera wasn't a mystery for long. His name was Brian Stephen Smith, a South African immigrant living what seemed like an ordinary life, but his crimes were anything but ordinary. 2 indigenous women brutally murdered. One of them captured in her final moments. Her voice, her fight, her truth. Recorded by the man who ended her life. This isn't just a story about murder. It's a story about the women, so often forgotten, and how one of them helped solve her own case. Get ready to explore Alaska in all her guts and glory. This is Spine-Chilling Chats. Before we get too far into this, I do want to give a trigger warning for rape, torture, and murder of women. So please take care while listening.
So indigenous, which I've heard and everything that I've watched, like it's really bad in Alaska.
Yeah, they're taking the indigenous women.
Yeah.
And either they're putting them into like sex trafficking, or they're murdering them.
They're killing them, yeah. And it's bad up there. So,
yeah. There's this one podcast that I listened to earlier last year called Stolen. And it was an indigenous woman who spoke about a missing woman from Alaska. It's such a horrible thing going on there.
Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible.
All right, well, Brian Stephen Smith was born on March 23rd, 1971 in Queenstown, South Africa, which was renamed Komani in 2016. Komani River is right through there, so that's probably why they changed the name. Family stated that he had a normal childhood, mom, dad, dog, normal house.
2.5 kids.
Yeah. In his home on Maple Crescent, in which I Google mapped it. So I saw his childhood home.
Yeah.
And I'll put a picture in here so you guys can see it too. And I mean, it's a decent house. Their houses all have like fences.
Okay.
But like in the front yard too. And they have like a gate. So you have to go through a gate to get into anybody's yard.
I need a gate.
Which is a little strange, but that might be just how it is over in South Africa.
Yeah.
I've not been.
Maybe animals. Keeping people and animals out.
Possibly. I don't know. Nothing of consequence really stuck out. Although he was a bit quiet and soft-spoken, he preferred to spend time with computers than people, but I mean,
who
same.
Who
Same.
doesn't?
A classmate of his, Wayne F. Stratton, remembers Brian being a very nice person. They all had their IQs tested at school, and Brian had the highest out of anybody in his grade. So he's very intelligent. He's very polite, very quiet, and just he fooled everyone. He fooled everyone his entire life.
Which they usually do.
Yeah.
Especially when they're super intelligent.
Yeah, he was so good at hiding his darkness. After finishing school, he went into the military. There's not a whole lot of information on him after that. It's believed he drifted from place to place and job to job until his story picks back up in 2012 when he met a woman online playing video games. Stephanie Bisland was a bit older than Brian, like 20 years older.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
that's more than a bit.
That is significantly older.
Yes.
But the two struck up a friendship and started talking outside of the online game. Stephanie was a folk singer from Anchorage, Alaska. In 2014, Brian had fallen on some hard times in South Africa. A business deal had gone south and he lost a lot of money. He took it as the best time to just sell all he had and try his luck out in Alaska with his friend, Stephanie.
I mean, honestly, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, at that point, might as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was the very first time he had ever been out of South Africa. He was entranced by the beauty Alaska had to offer, spending a lot of his time out in the wilderness, recording all of nature's glory. He and Stephanie soon got married. He got a job at the Marriott Hotel. Stephanie was a very social person. She had lots of friends and was active in the theater. Brian tried to keep up with his wife's social life, but soon found it to be just too much. Remember, he was very soft-spoken, very kept to himself kind of person. Mm-hmm. So being around people was a lot for him. He started to stray from their relationship, especially after meeting Alicia Youngblood at his work. And that's her actual last name, Youngblood. So I'm assuming she was most likely indigenous as well.
Yeah.
They started out as drinking buddies, but it soon turned into an affair. Alicia was responsive to Brian's sexual preferences. He enjoyed exploring new things and tended to enjoy being a bit rough. Alicia didn't mind being smacked around a little, choked, and even suffocated during sex, whereas that wasn't Stephanie's cup of tea. Alicia liked to see and hear violent sexual stories. The secrecy of their violent sexual affair heightened the arousal for both of them, too. Brian and Alicia would try to almost outdo one another with the mock sexual and violent role-playing. Alicia would tell him stories of how she had been chased all over the country by the FBI and she was wanted for robbing banks with the gang she belonged to. Brian knew these stories were fabricated, but it is what eventually led to discussions of murder and that kind of role playing.
Okay.
Each of them lying about having murdered someone just to get each other off.
Because, that's what does it for me.
Death.
Nothing like, I murdered somebody. Oh, my God. Please take your underwear off now. Wait. I don't get it.
But, as long as it's two consenting adults and they don't actually kill anybody, whatever.
Well, yeah, do you.
Do each other. I don't care.
Yeah. That's fine by me.
Yep. And thus his double life was formed. By day, he would be the loving husband to Stephanie, even though there was no passion in their marriage. And at night, he would give himself over to the dark fantasies Alicia and he would create together. Alicia eventually got scared when she found the video of him murdering a woman. Realizing these weren't just fantasies for him, she left and moved to Oklahoma. Brian picked up Valerie Kassler on September 19th, 2019, around 9:30 p.m. outside of a grocery store in Anchorage. It was raining outside. She was homeless at the time, living in a tent in the woods outside. So the offer to be dry and warm was one she couldn't pass up.
I wouldn't either. I mean,
and I can imagine living outside in Alaska.
Yeah.
I know it's not always snowy, but that's what I think of when I think of Alaska.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cold and snowy and dark.
Yep. Only for half the year.
Yeah. Then it's light all the time.
They spent the entire night driving around. They drove to the airport and watched the planes landing and taking off. She spent the night just talking. Around 5 or 6 a.m., Brian pulled into a gas station to use the ATM to pay for her services. While he was in there, Valerie claimed she dropped her phone, and when she reached under the seat to grab it, she found 2 phones. She got a weird feeling about it and decided to keep it. She later did admit that she took it from the center console. So it's not that she dropped her phone. It was she was
being nosy.
Yeah.
Being a nosy bitch.
Mm-hmm. She then went back to her tent and turned the phone on. She started looking through it to see if she recognized any of the phone numbers or names in it before she started looking through the pictures. She saw a video and pressed play. She heard Brian talking, and it's very easy to tell that it's him because he's from South Africa and has a very distinct accent. I watched an episode of Interview with a Killer that was originally aired on Court TV. It played little audio excerpts from the video, and it's very disturbing. But it is most definitely Brian's voice. In the episode, Valerie described seeing a woman laying on the floor in a hotel room and saw presumably Brian step on this woman's throat. She said that she heard him say, "Bitch, you're not leaving here alive. I'm killing you."
Mm-hmm.
They then shared an audio clip, and you can hear Brian say, and this is quote, "You need to fucking die, bitch. Ugh, for fuck's sake. Are you still alive?"
Jesus.
Yeah. Valerie stated that she watched the entire thing, and at the end, he pulled out a wire and strangled her. After she was dead, Brian continued touching her body. I have seen one murder video in my life. When I was in high school, I won't say their actual names because I don't know if they want to be on here, but my best friend Susan and I told our parents that we were staying at each other's houses.
Oh yeah, you told me this.
And we actually went to go stay at our friend Carlton's house because his parents were, or his dad was really cool and his stepmom was cool and they didn't care. So we stayed at his house and he had a buddy staying the night too. We didn't do anything like that, but they had some green apple pucker and, you know, we took a couple swigs of green apple pucker.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boys asked if we wanted to see, this was during the time of Osama bin Laden. And we watched the journalist get decapitated. And it was the most awful thing I have ever witnessed in my entire life that I wish I hadn't watched it. Like, I still feel sick to my stomach if I think about it.
I can still see it.
You watched it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was...
I didn't think it was real. You know what I mean? So I'm watching it and I was like...
That's real. That's a real human being being beheaded.
Yeah.
And it was just something I will never, ever forget. It was awful.
Yeah.
And it hits you differently knowing that it's real than, say, watching a movie of the same thing in it. So I just can't even imagine how traumatic seeing that video for Valerie was.
Oh, yeah.
Because she knows she was just with this man.
Yeah, and he killed somebody.
And she just witnessed a video of it, but she witnessed him killing somebody. Like, that's gonna fuck you up.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So Valerie was so frightened after watching that. She hid inside her tent for days. Like, she was too scared to step outside because the man she stole this phone from knew what she looked like, knew where she hung around because they're both local. I'm sure he's seen her at her local areas, trying to get work.
Mm-hmm.
And presumably that she had stolen his phone because I would assume he would notice it was gone by then.
Yeah.
So, and he knows what's on it. So
he's a looking.
You would think. She did eventually wrangle up the courage to go to the police with it. Investigators had analyzed the footage of a man boasting and taunting his victim. This is a quote. "In my movies," he says in one of the chilling sequences, "everyone dies. What are my followers going to think of you? People need to know when they are being serial killed."
Who says that? Serial killed.
Serial killed.
What a douche.
Although the man's face is never shown in the videos, another officer overheard the voice in the video and recognized it from a previous case that involved a man named Brian Stephen Smith. The detectives then went to the hotel the video was filmed in and looked at a list of guests that checked in. And who should be on that list? Mr. Brian Stephen Smith. Stupid.
What a coincidence. Why would you not use an alias?
Yes, why would you use your real name to check into a hotel where you're going to murder somebody? Because he knew he was going to kill her.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like this wasn't planned.
Right.
It wasn't a spur of the moment, she upset me.
Right.
Kind of thing. Or I just snapped.
And you said serial
killed. So you've done it before.
You know what you're doing. But you're going to use your real name. Fucking idiot.
It gets worse. On October 2nd, 2019, just days after the police were given this video, remains were found at mile 108 along the Seaward Highway. The woman had long dark hair, and on October 8th of 2019, Brian was arrested at Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport, where he had just arrived after having a nice little vacation in D.C. with his wife.
Oh, he's still married at this point?
Yeah, he's still married.
Oh,
she stays with him all through the trial.
Oh,
she supports him and stays with him. It's crazy. He was subsequently booked into an Anchorage jail. Police have stated that they discovered 39 photos and 12 videos related to who would eventually be identified as Kathleen Jo Henry's rape, torture, and murder. Kathleen Jo Henry was born December 22nd, 1988, in Bethel, Alaska. She was an Alaska indigenous woman from the Yupik Eskimo village of Eek. Kathleen obtained her GED in 2012 while she was incarcerated in Alaska's Highland Mountain Correctional Center, which is a state prison in Anchorage neighborhood of Eagle River. She was a divorcee who was single at the time of her death. She struggled with addiction and criminal run-ins with law enforcement over the years. She was a frequent user of Facebook and other social media and enjoyed writing poetry. At the time of her death, she was only 30 years old. They believe...
Did you look her up on Facebook?
I did not.
Oh, I was just curious.
I did, look at pictures of her online, but I didn't try to find her on Facebook. They believe she died September 4th, 2019, after being raped and tortured over the course of 2 days in the Midtown Marriott Hotel. Police continued gathering evidence. They even found time-stamped surveillance footage of Brian driving his black pickup truck with Kathleen Jo in the back of the truck. They also were able to get cell phone records showing that his phone pinged right by mile 108 of the Seaward Highway. So they were able to place him at the site where Kathleen Jo's body would be found, around the time it should have been dumped.
Yeah.
As the police were interviewing Brian, they are showing him pictures, even including pictures of the man in the video's feet.
I wonder how much money he got for that. Nasty. Ugh.
The officer points out that it looks just like the shoes Brian is wearing. He starts to claim that he doesn't remember anything. He does admit that in the images, it looks like a Marriott cart, and he can see a truck parked. But continues, so if he can see a truck parked, does that mean his windows was open? The curtains were open? He's killing somebody in this video and he left the curtains open?
Yeah, because he can see outside.
Unless maybe they're showing two different pictures and like they have a picture of his truck in the parking lot or something off of the surveillance cameras. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's so fucking dumb. He's gonna murder somebody with the curtains open. Draw those blinds, man. Draw them.
You're gonna do it right. Jesus.
There ain't no Jesus here.
Jesus.
So
I spell it Geezus.
Jesus. So he can see a truck parked, but continues to deny any involvement. They show images of his hands and his stomach, showing more and more, trying to break him, trying to let him know that they know the man in the film is him. They show him a picture of his truck and license plate. So, yeah, they must have
showed him a picture.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
They just keep stacking all of this evidence up in front of him to see how he handles it. After 2 hours of interrogation, Brian finally begins to crack. Which 2 hours, that's not very long.
No.
Like, he broke pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But later on, he claims it's because he was so exhausted from the time change from his flight from D.C. to Alaska that he was just delirious from being sleep deprived. And
whatever.
He says he'll tell them what he remembers. He starts off by saying, the next day, and this is quote, the next day at work, I saw something dripping out the back of my truck. And I was like, what the hell? And I opened up and there was somebody in there underneath. It's like there was a blue, like a tarp at the back of my truck. And the back flap wasn't really locked. I actually put a padlock on it now since then. And I saw somebody and I was like, what the hell? Like, what am I to do? What am I to do? Then the one night I thought, well, I've got to get rid of this. I can't. And I drove and I did. I went and dumped it. So yeah, I did. I did that. But yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about that. So he admitted to dumping the body?
Yes, he's trying to.
But he doesn't know.
He doesn't remember anything.
I was going to say
he's trying to play it off like somebody just put a dead body in his truck because his
truck was
tailgate was broken and wouldn't lock.
And so he doesn't remember that he put this body back there and there was blood dripping and he was like, what the hell? How did this body get here?
What's that? Huh.
Oh,
so that's what he told the police during his interrogation. In the interview he's giving to this journalist for Court TV, after his trial, he's being interviewed. So he's already been convicted. He now claims that the body in the back of his truck was not Kathleen Jo, but what he thinks could have been either a mannequin or this one time he saw a YouTube video of a skinned bear cub and it could have been something like that.
Okay, mannequins don't bleed because they're not real. And if it was a mannequin, why would you feel the need to go dump the body?
Yeah, and you would be able to tell the difference between a plastic mannequin
and a
human body.
And as for the cub thing, you would know if it was a fucking animal or a fucking human.
You would think.
And a cub, I don't know how big they are, but let's say they're about this big. And then a fucking human, and they're furry.
Well, he said a skinned bear cub.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. During the original confession, once he signs it and the officers are getting up to leave, Brian asks them if they're in a rush to go home. They immediately sit back down and tell him that they have all night if he wants to talk some more. He begins by saying, while his wife was out of town, he picked up a really drunk homeless woman. He said that he asked her if she wanted some warm food and a warm place to sleep that night. She agreed, so he took her home. He claims that he was afraid that she was going to leave her odor in his house and his wife would find out. So he told her to go take a shower. You know, she's homeless. She isn't bathing regularly. So
Yeah.
he was afraid her funk would mess up his marriage there. But again, don't bring them home
to your marital house,
Yeah.
bed, home, whatever. Like,
but the woman refused and just kept telling him no.
if I was homeless and somebody offered me a shower, I'd be taking that bitch.
Yeah. Well, I don't know though, because that's going to leave you very vulnerable, and I'm sure they're already kind of skittish.
Yeah,
I would think it's a dangerous.
Yeah, and some people have
situation.
mental stuff going on. So I guess I could see her being like, nope.
No. Yeah. But I guess you're going to be, vulnerable anyways if you're going to
go to a strange man's house.
Yeah. He went to the garage and got his pistol. He told her, go to the shower, but she wouldn't. And so he shot her while she sat on the couch. The evidence matched what Brian told them. 6 months earlier, a human skull had been found where Brian said he had dumped her body. The skull had a bullet hole in it. The police searched Brian's home and found another SD card with a video of a woman lying naked on the floor. Forensics was able to identify the victim as Veronica Abouchuk. She was another indigenous woman who had disappeared off the streets of Anchorage. Brian told the police that after he murdered her, he sexually defiled her body by sticking his hand, inside of her.
Ugh.
Veronica was 52 at the time of her death. She had been experiencing homelessness. Veronica had been working hard to reconnect with her family. She was a big sister growing up in western Alaska village of Stebbins. She graduated high school in 1985. She was full of life, loving to shop with her sisters. She would spend holidays with family and cherish time spent with her grandchildren. Veronica was actually best friends with Valerie, who found the phone and started the beginning of the end for Brian Smith.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Woo.
Veronica said she was going to the liquor store to get a bottle and meet up with someone, which she now believes was Brian. And that was the last time she ever saw her. Just like with Kathleen Jo, during his interview with the journalist for Court TV, he changed his story and denied killing Veronica.
Of course.
He stated that it was not Veronica that he shot. He said that was one of his fabricated stories, and that Veronica actually ended up leaving with Alicia, his former mistress, and drove away. His confession was all based on fictional role play with his former mistress. He said he only told the police the story because he was afraid that Alicia Youngblood would tell them and they wouldn't believe him then. If she told them that story and he hadn't already mentioned it, they would think he's just lying.
Right.
Alicia had actually already gone to the police a year earlier in secret via a tip line. She had told police that Brian had shown her a video of a dead woman. This is what Alicia said of the video. And this is a quote. He was going in her, and then he would draw his hand out, and he's holding the GoPro. And then he'd wipe his hands on her leg. She said there were pictures too. The pictures are her breasts, and he's grabbing them so hard that the blood is pooling. But at the time, they didn't have any evidence, and they had to drop the case. After seeing the video is when she left for Oklahoma. She unfortunately passed away, they think, from suicide on July 4th, 2021, leaving 6 children behind. She never got to testify against Brian. In February of 2024, Brian finally went to trial. Because you got to remember, we had COVID through all that. And a lot of cases got delayed. Christy Grimaldi took the stand to speak the words of her mother, Veronica Abouchuk. Oh, and I read it all wrong. In February of 2024, Brian finally went to trial. Christy Grimaldi took the stand to speak the words her mother, Veronica Abouchuk, was unable to say. Brian was unfazed by all of the witnesses presenting evidence against him. But there was no evidence quite as strong as the evidence he created himself with those videos. Those videos depict a woman that they now knew was Kathleen Jo Henry being tortured and strangled to death. They played those videos in the courtroom for the jurors to see. At one point in the video, there is blood coming from both sides of her mouth while Brian is sexually molesting her. During the interview, the journalist brought up this scene in the video, but Brian didn't like the terminology and stated that the killer, as he now denied that it was him, wasn't sexually molesting her. He was just poking his fingers on her boob. He was then asked if that's not sexual molestation, to which Brian retorted, "It depends on the woman and situation." And this is the mic drop for me. To which the journalist argued back that obviously the situation was non-consensual as she's lying there dying, while he's telling her he's killing her, standing on her stomach, laughing maniacally, and that shut Brian up real quick.
Yeah.
Because depends on the woman. Well, this woman's being murdered, so...
And she's dying, and she can't stop you.
Obviously, obviously she's not wanting to be touched.
People.
This dude. In the video, he's describing everything, almost like he's creating a documentary. And this is a quote from the video. So, there's the throat. Here's the string I've got. Okay, I'm going to pull the string right here, yeah? In the video, he's straddling Kathleen Jo, strangling her with a green string. He's mocking her, berating her while he's fondling her, while she's dying. He says, "I'm trying to make a movie, you stupid blood-sucking whore." He even actually goes as far as to say, "For all my fans out there, hit the like button, please. Just take it slow and just do a nipple shot while we're here. You know, like an angle, like an action shot."
What the
He's
fuck?
directing a film. You live, you die. You live, you die. All while alternating between applying pressure to her throat and releasing it. Sadly, in my movies, everyone dies. I get the Oscar, bitch.
This dude,
how fucked up is this man?
I was going to say that he is fucked up.
Wow. So I wonder if his intention is selling this as like a snuff film.
Oh, that very well could be.
But with the hit the like, I mean, that sounds
like he's doing
like
live video feed and trying to get like YouTube subscribers.
Like, yeah. But I don't know enough about the dark web to know if they have sites like that. Well, I know that they have sites like that where you can see whatever, that kind of stuff. But I don't know if they have like buttons.
Yeah, like and follow, share, and all that.
So I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
But yeah, it sounds like he's trying to run a YouTube channel and get more it's fucked up.
Yeah, that is fucked up. You're killing somebody and you're fucking over there. Like my video. Fuck you, dude.
I can't even fathom what that poor woman must have been thinking during all that. It just, you live, you die, you live, you die.
And he's playing with her.
Sadly, everyone in my movies dies. On February 22nd, 2024, Brian Stephen Smith, who was 53 at the time, was found guilty of 14 counts, including 2 counts of murder in the first degree for the murders of Kathleen Jo Henry and Veronica Abouchuk. They also found him guilty of sexual assault in the second degree, tampering with evidence, and misconduct involving a corpse. After delivering their verdicts, the jury also found Brian guilty of an aggravating factor that he had subjected Kathleen Jo Henry to substantial physical torture. That aggravating factor will subject him to a mandatory 99-year sentence on the murder of Kathleen. With all of his charges between Kathleen and Veronica, he has been sentenced to a total of 226 years in prison.
Good.
Unfortunately, Alaska does not have the death penalty, so this was the best.
That's his death penalty.
Yeah.
Because he's going to die in there.
AlaskaPublic.org posted an article about a possible third victim. The family of a woman whose photos Anchorage police found on Brian's phone think she is yet another of his victims. In their sentencing memorandum, prosecutors included photos from one of Brian's cell phones showing another woman who appeared to be unconscious or dead, along with a forensic artist's sketch of her. Cassandra Boskofsky's family believes she was the woman in the photos, and they want answers about where her remains are located and why police haven't identified her as Smith's third victim. Protesters stood in the rain across from the Anchorage Police Department and stamped a red handprint across their faces, which is a symbol of solidarity in the missing and murdered indigenous people movement. They carried signs that said, "Where's Cassandra?" and "Bring Cassandra home." She was only 38 years old when her family reported her missing in August of 2019, which is the same time frame that he was
doing all of that.
Doing that, yeah. Prosecutors said in their sentencing memo that the woman in the newly released photos was likely another of Brian's victims, and they used them to make a case for a harsher sentence. Their recommendations prevailed, with him receiving the equivalent of 2 life sentences, but Cassandra Boskofsky's family still wants justice for their loved one. Marcella Boskofsky's grounds is Cassandra's cousin and said they were raised together like sisters when they were small. It was her who reported Cassandra missing shortly after her disappearance in 2019. Marcella also said she doesn't understand why police kept the photos a secret for so long and why they waited to share them only days before Brian was sentenced. She said she recognized Cassandra instantly and felt shocked, distraught, and angry with the police. And this is a quote. "She doesn't matter. That's how I felt. Like she didn't matter to them," Marcella said, because they only brought it up to our attention a week before his sentencing. So far, Anchorage police have not confirmed that the unidentified woman in Brian's cell phone is Cassandra. It's the department's policy not to comment on active investigations. According to Anchorage Police Department Detective Brendan Lee, police try to avoid contacting a victim's family until they have physical evidence to avoid causing them grief over a case of mistaken identity. Anchorage Police Department takes the families affected into account and does not want to give information until it is 100% confirmed, Lee said in an email. Telling a family member that a loved one is missing or deceased without being 100% accurate can be just as mentally detrimental to them. Antonia Comack, a missing or murdered Indigenous persons activist, isn't satisfied with that explanation. Once the photos and the artist's sketch went public, she said, It was easy to identify the images on Brian's cell phone. I knew a lot of the MMIP, which is the missing and murdered indigenous person, cases statewide, and I knew immediately that was Cassandra, she said. When regular people can just look at a photo and identify it immediately, that's really poor investigation. Police should be held accountable for their failure to act, Comack said. If they had made an artist's sketch of Brian's victim public shortly after they found the photo of the unknown woman on his phone, Cassandra might have been identified a long time ago, she said. But there's often more going on behind the scenes than police can share with the public, said Lee, the detective. Anchorage Police Department does not give out all details about ongoing investigations in order to preserve the investigation and not compromise it, he also said. Cassandra's aunt, Terry Boskofsky, was one of about 8 family members at the protest who chanted, "Where is Cassandra?" and "Justice for Cassandra." MMIP activists have offered 2 separate $500 rewards, one for information leading to recovery of Cassandra's remains, and a second that asks for information leading to the arrest of Ian Calhoun, a man prosecutors said was a friend of Brian's. So they think maybe he was helping.
An accomplice.
But that's the only place I heard that.
Okay.
In the sentencing memo, prosecutors said that they believe Calhoun probably knew about one of the murders. So far, he has not been charged in the case. A woman named Amber, who asked that only her first name be used for the story, stood in the back of the group of protesters. She said she once lived on the streets and could have easily been one of Brian's victims. Amber also said she was friends with Kathleen Jo and Cassandra. Amber is half black and half Tlingit and was raised mostly in Anchorage. She said she grew up marginalized and that she and her friends, including Cassandra and Kathleen, shouldered the burdens of past traumas. Their loss will be felt in small villages across the state and even by those who didn't know them, because many families have loved ones who have disappeared, she said. Their story is my story. It's their story. It's a community story, Amber said. We put ourselves in some dangerous situations, especially those of us who are looking for love and acceptance. And I come from that. I come from the streets, she said. It's so easy to get into the wrong person's vehicle and you don't even know it. Before Amber left the protest, she rubbed red paint on her hands and crossed the street to leave imprints on the police department's glass doors. A reminder of Cassandra, she said, and of all the missing sisters whose voices have been silenced. I got chills.
I know, me too.
Cassandra's family was able to get her legally declared deceased in court. So that's at least one step closer to hopefully getting her named as one of his victims.
Yeah.
Many speculate that these 3 ladies may be just the tip of the iceberg of victims Brian has claimed over the years. It's hard to believe that he started murdering at 43 and never did anything in South Africa prior to moving to Alaska. The South African police are now investigating him and speaking to those he knew when he lived there. According to a cellmate here in the U.S., Brian confessed to him that he has more victims in South Africa, and I'm inclined to agree.
Me too.
I just find it hard to believe that these were his first.
And why all of a sudden?
Yeah, I guess when in Rome,
yeah,
I'm in a new place, let me just start murdering people. No, he had to have been doing this longer. I believe he was probably more in Alaska, too, than just the 3. I hope, for their family's sake, they find out the truth and he gets held accountable for it.
Yeah. I do too. Although 226 years in jail, prison.
I mean, he's not going to get any more time, but at least they have
they have the information and they tied him to those cases, so there's some closure.
Yeah.
What a fucked up individual.
And that, it's not very often. I think this is probably the first that we've covered that has been 2019. That's recent.
Yeah.
I mean, he just got sentenced last year. This is a recent case.
And that's what I was saying. Isn't it so weird? We know of all of these serial killers and murderers from the 60s and 70s and 40s. And it's
or even the 1800s.
They're already dead. But there are serial killers that live among us, right now, in our generation, in our space.
They could be.
They are
your
neighbor.
Yeah.
It's always the one you least suspect.
No.
But yeah, isn't it crazy? We are living among serial killers.
It's wild, and it's sickening, and it's frightening. It makes me not want to leave my home. But people can break into your home and kill you there too. Yep. So you're not safe anywhere.
It's a lose-lose situation. So yeah.
But yeah.
I know. He's so fucked up.
And I'll link the, because one of the episodes, I got one of them from the Court TV interview with a killer, and then I had another one from Carte Blanche, which is a podcast in South Africa. They covered just a short little bit of his case, but I'll link those in our show notes so you can listen to the videos and see how he speaks. It doesn't show any of the images, but it is a little, you can hear her, gasping and that kind of thing. So if you do listen, just be prepared. You will hear that. But just listening to him and how he speaks during his interview and watching the clips of his trial and how he has no emotion on his face.
Yeah.
Just none. And when he's talking to the journalist, he is denying that it's him. So they refer to the killer. And it would be a nasty person to do this kind of thing. He called the killer a nasty person to do this sort of thing, and how he doesn't like to see people get hurt.
Okay.
Fucker, we know it was you.
Right.
We can hear your voice.
You don't like to see people get hurt, but you hurt them.
There's no denying it was him.
No.
You can hear it's very distinct.
Not to mention the shoes matched.
Yeah, the shoes matched. They could see his hands. They could see his stomach. They got his truck and his license plate. Fucker, it was you. You signed into the hotel she was murdered in.
Your name.
Dude, it's
fucking be smarter than that, I guess.
Well, and it's surprising that it took somebody stealing his cell phone for him to get caught. He's making all these mistakes. Yeah. How did he not get caught sooner?
Before that, yeah.
And he did this in South Africa too, so...
And the dumbass is... And that's the other thing. The dumbass is making evidence and videos on his cell phone.
And I wonder if his, when his business venture went poorly and he lost everything in South Africa, I wonder if he got scared that he was about to get caught for something,
and that's why
he moved to Alaska.
Oh,
I mean, I didn't say anything like that in there,
no,
but that's something I was thinking of.
That's a theory.
He got out of Dodge before
anything came down on him.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Yeah. He knew he fucked up somewhere and he was going to be caught soon.
So he's like, yep,
peace out.
Gotta go.
Well, We're going to be doing 3 more episodes this month featuring Alaska. It'll be either true crime or hauntings or cryptids, but we're going to try to do that each month. We're going to pick a different state. It may not always be in alphabetical order, but if you guys have a certain state you think is particularly spooky or mysterious, or there is a true crime case that you really want us to cover that took place in a certain state, just leave us a comment and we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know.
We'll cover it.
So, if you have any other stories, glitches in the Matrix.
Very fucking. I had to think for a second. It was what?
If you're friends with Bigfoot and he's got more than just a big foot, let us know. You got pics?
We're curious.
If you have any ghost stories, I just found out my friend of
I was just gonna say
20 years grew up in a haunted house, and he's probably going to be joining our podcast for an episode soon. So to discuss it, I don't want to give too much away, but
we say this every episode for the last year, and we're just now finding. He
just randomly messaged me today. Hey,
have you
ever thought about having somebody with paranormal experience on your show?
Yes, we have.
20 years, you've never mentioned this. But whatever. So please send those in. You can email us at spinechillingchatspodcast@gmail.com, or you can submit them on our website at www.spine-chillingchatspodcast.com. On our website, you can also see pictures of us. You can read our bios.
Past episodes.
Yep. We have a link to our merch store.
I was just going to say that. Buy our merch. We got some new stuff.
Yep, I put some new summer vibe stuff. Mm-hmm. Is booze,
blues, and blooms and booze,
booze and blooms. So check it out.
Yeah.
Please check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're not just our sultry voices. You can also see our pretty faces on YouTube.
Any podcast platform.
Yep.
And subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your sisters, tell your brothers, your nieces, nephews, grandmas, great grandmas, your papas. I don't care. Tell everybody.
Tell your dog.
Yeah. Your dog might enjoy it. Dogs watch TV, so they might listen to it.
Sometimes Robbie puts a nature show on for Sahara when we leave.
Yeah.
Of ducks or something.
Winston watches TV.
Yeah.
He'll sit there and it's so funny because he sits like a human. He sits
just
watches
lounging.
TV, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're a dog.
Susu, our cat, is short for Susu Watari, if you're a Studio Ghibli fan.
We are not nerds at all.
I've got Calcifer on my arm. She likes to attack things on our TV.
Oh,
so she's Rory gets so mad when she's trying to play a game or something, and Susu's attacking stuff.
That's funny,
but it's so cute.
Yeah, it is. I have a picture, a video of our cat when she was first born. She was probably about that big. She stood up. She was about that big, and she was attacking the TV.
Yeah, it's cute.
It is.
I don't get mad. I like watching it.
I do too. I like watching it.
Anyways, yeah. Check us out on those things. Please comment. We like to interact with you guys. So comment. Let us know what you're liking, what you're not liking, what you want us to cover, what you don't want so much of. Just if you want to hang out. I got no plans.
Yeah, me either. Obviously, it's 8:00 on a Friday night,
and this is doing our podcast.
So,
hey, I'm proud of us. I wasn't sure if I was going to get this done in time because we had a shorter week because it was Memorial Weekend, and so we recorded this week's episode. So the one that came out a couple days ago, Sunday.
Yeah.
Then Monday we had Memorial Day family stuff, so I couldn't edit. So then I had to edit everything Tuesday.
And it comes out on Wednesday.
And it comes out at midnight.
And this
Wednesday
was her
morning.
week for the episode, and she still got it done.
Yeah, and so I had to then do
By
my
Friday.
episode. So it's been a very stressful week, but we made it.
We did.
And now we get to chill the rest of the weekend.
And back at it next Friday.
Yeah. Next Friday. Oh no, it's the one after that.
Is what?
Is our
I know. Should we do a special
investigation? Well, that's what I was saying with Dave. We could do
a special.
Yeah, not cover it as an episode.
No,
yeah,
but like an extra
tidbit.
What do you call those? An extra
bonus episode.
Bonus episode. Yeah. We'll do that with Dave and our
findings from our haunted Beeson Mansion.
Yes, tour thing.
Investigation we're doing.
Yeah,
Friday the 13th. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. So, and I heard Beeson's been very busy lately.
Yes.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's still that way when we get there.
I hope so.
Me too. So
I hope so.
Anyway.
Yeah. So we really appreciate you guys listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you come back.
Yes.
And most of all, we hope you
keep it spooky.
Bye, guys.
Bye.